Every second of your life, you are under attack. Billions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi are constantly trying to make your body their home. But don't worry. Your body has developed a super complex army with guards, soldiers, intelligence, weapons, factories, and communicators, all working together to protect you from illness. For this video, let's say the immune system has 12 main jobs. These include everything from killing invaders to communicating with other cells. There are 21 different types of immune cells and 2 main protein forces. Each of these cells can have up to 4 different roles. Let's illustrate these interactions in a way that's easy to understand. First, we'll add colors to represent different jobs. The central color of each cell will show its primary job, while the surrounding colors represent secondary functions. Now, the immune system looks like this, a beautiful web of interconnected tasks and jobs. The interactions within it are incredibly complex. Isn't it amazing? For this video, we'll focus on just these cells and ignore the rest. So, what happens during an infection? Imagine it's a beautiful day, and suddenly a rusty nail appears. You cut yourself. The first line of defense, your skin, is breached. Nearby bacteria take advantage of the opportunity and enter the wound, beginning to use up the body's resources and multiplying rapidly, doubling their numbers every 20 minutes. At first, these bacteria remain undetected, but once their population reaches a critical threshold, they change their behavior and start damaging the body. The immune system needs to act fast to stop this invasion. The first defenders to arrive are the macrophages. These large cells patrol the body's borders, always ready to act. Most of the time, a single macrophage can suffocate an infection by devouring up to 100 intruders. It swallows them whole, traps them in a membrane, and then uses enzymes to break them down. Macrophages also cause inflammation by instructing blood vessels to release water into the affected area, making the battle easier. This is why you notice mild swelling. However, when macrophages fight for too long, they call for backup by releasing messenger proteins to alert other immune cells. Neutrophils, which usually patrol the bloodstream, quickly rush to the battlefield. They fight so aggressively that they end up killing healthy cells in the process. Neutrophils also create barriers that trap and destroy bacteria. They're so effective that they evolved to commit suicide after about 5 days, preventing further damage. If the battle isn't won by these frontline soldiers, the brain of the immune system, the dendritic cells, gets involved. These cells gather samples from the invaders, break them into pieces, and present those parts on their surface. Now, the dendritic cell has a crucial decision to make. Should it call for antiviral forces to destroy infected body cells, or should it summon bacteria-killing reinforcements? In this case, the need is for antibacterial forces. The dendritic cell travels to the nearest lymph node, which takes about a day. There, billions of helper and killer T cells are waiting to be activated. T cells go through a rigorous training process before they're allowed to fight, and only a quarter of them survive the training. Those that do are specifically equipped to tackle certain types of invaders. The dendritic cell is on the lookout for a helper T cell that can recognize the same pieces of the invaders it has presented. Once it finds the right match, the helper T cell is activated and quickly begins to multiply, producing thousands of clones. Some become memory cells that stay in the lymph node and provide immunity against future attacks by the same pathogen. Others travel to the battlefield to support the ongoing fight, while a third group heads to the center of the lymph node to activate a powerful weapons factory, the B cells. Like T cells, B cells are born with a unique setup, designed to fight specific enemies. When a helper T cell and a B cell with matching setups meet, the magic happens. The B cell rapidly duplicates, and within hours, it starts producing millions of antibodies, little proteins designed to target and bind to the surface of specific invaders. At the same time, helper T cells keep the factory running, encouraging the B cells to continue producing antibodies, despite the intense exhaustion they face. Without this support, the B cells would quickly burn out and die. The antibodies they produce are specialized, and each type serves a different role, depending on the situation. Meanwhile, the situation on the battlefield grows more dire. The invaders have multiplied in number and are actively damaging body cells. The immune cells are fighting valiantly, but they too are falling in the process. Helper T cells step in again, telling the soldiers to fight harder and stay alive longer. But even with all this effort, the bacteria still have the upper hand. Then, the second line of defense kicks in. Billions of antibodies flood the battlefield. They bind to and disable many of the bacteria, rendering them helpless or killing them outright. These antibodies also mark the bacteria, making them easier targets for other immune cells, like macrophages, who can then consume the invaders. The tide of battle finally begins to shift. The combined effort of antibodies and immune cells defeats the bacteria, though many of your own body cells have died in the process. Luckily, the body can replace these cells quickly, and most immune cells, having completed their task, commit suicide to prevent unnecessary resource waste. But some cells stay behind. The memory cells. These cells remember the invader, so if the same enemy shows up in the future, they'll be ready to stop it before you even notice. This was a simplified explanation of part of the immune system in action. Can you imagine how complex it is when we consider the full system, including all the other cells and proteins at play? Even at this level, life is incredibly complicated, but when we take the time to understand it, we can truly appreciate its wonder and beauty.